Hey Jerks, and welcome back to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Matt,
And I'm Luke.
and today we are drinking a delicious beer from Deeds over in Melbourne.
We are drinking Lagahoo.
Lagahoo!
Do you know what Lagahoo is?
I don't.
I do.
Well, that's because you do some research before we film these videos.
Not a lot of research, but
Oh, look at that.
yeah, that beautiful tan head. So, this is a tropical stout, which we'll get into in just a moment. Cheers. But a Lagahoo, yes, I definitely did not know what a Lagahoo was before we ordered this beer, and I looked it up. It's a kind of werewolf from Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, cool. Oh, well, that fits into that tropical stout vibe.
Yeah.
And I actually had one of these when I bought the Deeds mix case
Smart man.
that we did, and I love it. It's such a really great example of what a good straightforward stout can be.
Yeah.
There's not much mucking around with this beer. There's no lactose, there's no vanilla, there's no extra stuff in here. It's just good old malt, hops, yeast and water, and it's just got this rich, velvety, dark chocolatey, roasty, dark fruit character. It's got huge amounts of body. The ABV is about 7%, I believe. 7%? Somewhere, yeah, 7%. Oh, shit. Which to me is a sweet spot, kind of between kind of your everyday stouts and your imperial stouts, where you get that bit of booze warmth from it, but it's not kind of whacking you over the head with it.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of this beer.
It's punchy enough to keep it interesting, but yeah, you don't need to go to bed straight afterwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, tropical stouts are, yeah, it's a category it would be nice to see more of, because I haven't had loads. I think the first one I probably had was in Australia from the brewery Filter, who did a Caribbean stout. And when I was in Sri Lanka, a real highlight for me was their local gigantic monopoly brewery, is also called Lion in Sri Lanka. And about the only good beer I could find to drink was the Lion Stout, which is just a big 8% tropical stout and just had a good whack of flavour to it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people find that nomenclature of tropical stout quite confusing. As I certainly did before, until very recently. I hadn't really seen the style at all. And I think there can be some confusion around that, as with Indian Pale Ale and Russian Imperial Stout, where it doesn't actually necessarily have anything to do with the flavour profile. So you don't get spices in IPA, you don't get caviar in a Russian Imperial Stout. It's not packed with bananas and plantains and tropical fruits, but it does have a bit of a different origin story.
Yeah, I think a tropical stout is. I'm just trying to think about how you would define it. I think generally a character is it's a stout that would have originally been brewed in the Caribbean in the tropics, and incorporating some interesting different kinds of sugars, which is just a really nice thing to do in beers. So you have the Belgian brewers that use candy sugar, which is just a really quite caramelized hard cracked sugar, and you can utilize things like molasses,
And palm sugar and stuff like that.
yeah, and of course there are these sugar plantations in many tropical countries, and you can get more interesting and less refined forms of sugars that can really add a lot to a beer. So I actually don't know if there's any molasses or golden syrup or anything in this, do you?
No, I'm not sure. It's not listed on the recipe, and we haven't been able to find out. But as Luke said, a lot of those less refined sugars really bring to the table a lot of those kind of darker fruit notes.
Yeah.
I mean, as you'd experience from using just brown sugar versus white sugar at home, you get those kind of that rich kind of treacly sweetness, which kind of plays into a kind of burnt toffee character in this beer, if they did it, or they've emulated it some other way. Yeah, it's got that real kind of that rich sweetness that's not cloying, but has a bit more character to it, which I really like.
And as we talked about a few times on the drink-alongs, I think for a lot of brewers, and us included as brewers, it's often so tempting to put interesting adjuncts in your beers. And with big stouts especially, you just can't help yourself sometimes, but put some cocoa in there, put some coffee, put some vanilla, just all these interesting extra flavours you can draw from. But actually, malt, hops, yeast and water, there's enough to be doing for eternity. There's an infinite amount of different things you can do with those ingredients. And with stouts, and it's, yeah, we should brew some more stouts that don't have adjuncts. And
Ha.
and I'd love to see brewers in New Zealand just doing really fantastic stouts, and yeah, just putting the adjuncts to one side for the moment and just thinking about what you can do with malts.
Yeah. So yeah, all in all, a really nice characterful stout that we don't really see enough of beers like this. Big stouts with lots of flavour, lots of body, but no mucking around. So a really good job to Deeds.
Yeah, cracking job. Great success.
Yeah, but speaking of big, stupid stouts with lots of shit in them, we have a bunch of exciting stuff going on. We have brewed our 3 Christmas beers.
So we being small gods.
We being small gods. They are all on cooling now in the tanks, getting ready for packaging, ready to go into our Christmas gift boxes and our advent calendars. So, a bit of a spoiler there for something that's coming up, but from those of you who had our advent calendar last year, you might have known what to expect. But we, as well as a couple of great beers from our own brewery, Small Gods, we have a bunch of really exciting stuff going in. Our import shipment is just arriving, so you can expect lots of international beers in that premium advent calendar, a lot of new releases that haven't been brewed anywhere else, and some really exciting stuff from breweries that you don't see very often, and that is selling out. So I think probably by this time next week, if not sooner, that box is going to be gone. You won't be able to get a chance to buy one, and you'll be sitting there missing out and having a bit of a cry on the couch while all your mates drink some delicious premium advent calendar beers. So if you've been thinking about it, if you've been sitting on the fence and just waiting until a bit later in the pre-order, now is the time to get that order in, because that box will be selling out in the next week or so.
Yep.
Yeah, do it.
Yep, we do not have many. Other stuff that's going on at our wonderful glamorous venue, the Fridge and Flagon, here on the Auckland Beer Mile. We've got sea shanties this Friday. Well, that sold out last time. I think there's a few tickets left, right?
Yeah, so the Wellington Sea Shanty Society is New Zealand's most seaworthy shanty group, I think, according to their press release. So they are a fantastic duo who are doing an EP release tour. So they've got some new songs out, and it is a fantastic time. You can come along. It's a sing-along. They hand out songbooks, and it's a big kind of raucous party vibe. You can check them out on YouTube. You can check out their album, Now That's What I Call Sea Shanties, and some of their other stuff. They've been pioneered the sea shanty movement before it blew up on TikTok last year during the pandemic, whenever that blew up. And those of you who've been to it before should definitely know what it's all about. It's a really good fun sing along in a way that you don't really get to do a lot. So that's happening at the Fridge and Flagon.
People really raved about it last time, and we're going to have jugs of fantastic beers as you would expect. It's been the Fridge and Flagon, and that is from 7 o'clock. But check out social media and online, and you can grab some tickets for that.
Then on Saturday we have a burger pop-up. So if you love tasty burgers, we're just open during our normal hours on Saturday. But you can come along, grab a delicious burger, and get involved with that as well. Yeah,
we've got Hunter Burger's going to be popping up. So he makes wonderful burgers. Apparently, that's what everyone says. I haven't tried one yet. So come along Saturday from 4 o'clock to grab a Hunter Burger.
And on Sunday you're doing exercise or something.
So we're keeping this a little bit down low. We're not promoting it too widely, but the Beer Jack Run Club, that happens every single Monday at 5:30. Bunch of people come along, thank you, run 5 kilometres, and then we drink some beers. So a whole bunch of those people are running in the Auckland Marathon and half marathon on Sunday morning, and if you're running at it, you probably want to drink some beers afterwards. So a bunch of people are coming along here afterwards from 12 o'clock Sunday. So all afternoon, we're opening up a couple of barbecues. There's going to be a vegetable one and a meat one. So bring along sausages or whatever you want to chuck in the barbecue. Bar will be open. Bring your family, bring your friends, and
got a few Small Gods beers on tap. We've got our table beer and our new peach sparkling ale. So some really light smashable options. Our Pilsner and our Pale Ale as well.
And there will be no judgment if you're sat in our beer garden popping blisters or whatever it is people do after running a marathon, having a horrible achy time, I imagine. But at least you can smash some jugs of table beer. Yeah,
running it sounds great. Well, there's one last thing, which is that our new Small Gods and 8 Wide collaboration brew is coming out soon. Desperate Glory is a version of last year's 3 on a Match, which was the Belgian Amber Ale that we released with 8 Wide. That beer has spent a year sitting in bourbon barrels, and then it's been blended with some Keeman tea to make a barrel-aged Belgian sour brown ale, or
It's
Oud
good.
Bruin.
Really good.
We tried it for the first time today after our bottles arrived, and it's fantastic. We're so happy with that. So we'll be dropping that shortly. So keep an eye out on our social media channels. And if you're not signed up for Tex Beer, sign up for Tex Beer.
Hot tip.
Hot tip.
Texbeer.co.nz for interesting deals of brand new releases or of beers that brewers are overstocked on. So Tex Beer is a deal once or twice a week. We send you a text, you reply yes to it, on the next day you get a box of fantastic beer arrive at your doorstep. And there's always fantastic pricing. Generally it's a discount of around 25%. And all kinds of interesting beers that are shipped directly from the brewers all around the country, next day delivery.
So check that out at texbeer.co.nz where you can sign up. Yeah, you're in for some great deals there.
Cheers, Matt. Tropical Stouts.
Cheers, Tropical Stouts.